back. So, you know, you sit here and you think of things to do to keep yourself occupied. Day 10. So, it's been good to get back in the camera. I mentioned this in the video I posted yesterday, and it's like, well, you finish up with your 9 to 5 from this room, and then you're like, okay, what do I do now? Yesterday I worked way too long on non-personal projects, and I need to be better about taking a break from that. You know, you just get burned out super easily, and so this is helpful. And you know, I'll keep making one of these as I feel like it, I suppose. I was going through some old Instagram photos and realized that it's coming up on a decade with my Leica M6, which is the camera that I've owned the longest out of any camera I've ever had. I used to go through cameras all the time. This one has always stuck around though. And it's interesting to see, especially now, because the price of these has skyrocketed. I bought this back in 2011, so yeah, almost a decade ago, and it was $1,200. That was just for the body. Didn't come with a lens. Came with the original box, no manual though, no receipt or proof of purchase or anything like that, and yeah, I paid $1,200 for it. I had sold all of my digital equipment at the time to pay for that. I was, you know, a kid. I was pretty much like had no like disposable income. I was working just over a minimum wage job at the time, and so this was a big purchase for me. But now I look and I see these things come up for sale for the M6 Classic, which is what this one is, not the TTL. So still has a light meter, just doesn't have TTL flash, and it doesn't have some other small things like the different film dial or film shutter speed dial at the top. Little things, nothing super important. And when I got it, it was just like unbelievable. It was one of those things where like it actually kind of comes full circle. I got it and bought a, is it Jupiter 12? I can't honestly remember now. I think that's the 35mm 2.8 Russian lens that has the very protruding rear element that goes like way deep into the camera. And so I couldn't afford anything else, but I wanted to shoot it so bad. I was just so excited that I bought that lens because it was like the only thing you could get at the time. And then now, as I mentioned, comes full circle. I've got this, which is the 7 Artisans 35 f2. I think it's the Biogon copy. On here now because my Summicron, the focus tab on it broke off, and it's really hard to focus, and I just haven't sent it out to get fixed in months. But that's fine. This lens is good enough for what I do and just messing around and taking pictures. It's been a long journey with this camera. It really has. It's gone to, you know, half the country at this point. Basically everything from the Pacific Coast, so Washington, California, and Oregon, all the way east to Colorado. So Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, New Mexico, Arizona, Texas, and then a good chunk of the East Coast as well, actually. So it's been all over with me. It's been dropped. There are marks on the bottom from when it smacked into concrete. There are places on the all over where the finish is worn off. You can see just like where my thumb rests on the camera, and also when I have the film advance open, because I hold it like this when I'm carrying it around a lot. It's starting to wear down. One of the most interesting Leicas that I've ever seen was one owned by some photographer for most of his life, where if you opened it up, you could see in the back there was markings from how much film had gone past the pressure plate, which is just like, it's a testament to being used, which is what I really appreciate about this camera. I've always said that you can buy a Leica and get your money back, basically own it for free, because if you know, I bought this almost 10 years ago, and it's gone up in value. If I wanted to sell it, I could make a decent chunk of money in doing so, and it would have gotten to use this camera that entire time. Now, over the course of its life, it has had some issues. The battery for the light meter stopped turning off, and so I had to get that fixed. And when they were fixing that, it was a local place. When they were fixing that, the frame lines, they kind of screwed up the alignment of. So when I would put a 35 on, it would bring up like half 35, half 50 millimeter frame lines. So I had to go back then. At one point, maybe like 4 years ago, all the shutter speeds below a 60th of a second stopped working. There's I forget what it's called. It's like a shutter something or other, and it slows down the shutter below 1/60th of a second. Shutter break? That might be it. And so I had to send it into Leica, and while they did that, they replaced the light meter, recalibrated a whole bunch of stuff. So I mean, it was expensive, but it went to Leica, it went to the right people, and I mean, this camera's it's gonna last forever. This one was built in January of 1997, so as of now, it's 23 years old. And I don't see it going anywhere, is the interesting thing. Like I said, I used to buy and sell cameras and just use cameras. I would shoot one roll of film through it and be like, no, this isn't for me, and then I'd get rid of it, or I'd shoot a roll of film through it and it would just sit in a closet forever. Not sure exactly what to do with it. This is one of those cameras, though, that I don't think I'll ever get rid of. There's just no reason for me to. As far as film goes, it's the one that I gravitate towards the most. I'm always going back to it. Since I bought this, I've owned 6 other Leica M cameras, so 3 M2s, an M7, an M3, I forget actually now what they are. Maybe it was only those 4, I don't know. And those have all come and gone. You know, some of them is like, some of the M2s I picked up for $400, and so they were just super cheap, and I bought them because why wouldn't you at that point? Others I bought, like the M7, because I really like the M6 and I wanted to be able to have 2 bodies that were similar, but you know, I'm lazy. I like auto exposure. That was one of my favorite things about owning the Pentax 67 II, was you get this beautiful medium format giant negative, and it functioned like just a point and shoot camera. Loved that. And I really liked that about the M7 too, but when it came time to sell one of them, the M7 was the one to go. I hung on to the M6. There are a few things that over the years, you know, I've thought about changing on it. If you look closely, you won't be able to see this, but the retainer ring around the film advance lever is pretty marred and has quite a bit of finish loss on it. It's because I bought a spare M2 film advance lever and had that installed on here for a while, even though it was silver and it didn't actually match the finish. I changed that out just because I do like the solid film advance levers than the multi-piece. It used to have like a snakeskin leather on it, just because the original leather started to chip away, or leatherette started to chip away. And when I sent it into Leica, they actually replaced it. Didn't ask them to. They just did. They swapped it back for the standard Leica Vulcanite. They did other things too, which was really nice of them, like this little PC sync thing on the back. They put a new one in there for me. They didn't have to do that, and I say for whatever reason, I know the reason. It's because it's like $15 for that stupid little piece of plastic. So to toss it in was nice. This camera strap, Gordy's leather camera strap out of Seattle, Washington. This has been on here almost the entire time, and you can really see with how flexible it is. And it's those little things that make it really feel like an old friend. Every time I pick this camera up, I don't have to wonder about what buttons go where or what I have to do. The batteries inside of it for the light meter last forever, I think, actually, oh yeah, I mean, I couldn't tell you when the last time I put batteries in this, but they work. Light meter's functioning and everything. I have thought about changing other stuff though, like putting the MP finder in. For those who don't know, if you're just watching this to learn more about the Leica M6 or see what it's like to own one for so long, in certain lighting conditions, the viewfinder can flare, especially over the rangefinder patch window, so this guy right here, and can make it kind of hard to focus. So you can swap it out for the finder in the Leica MP, and that gets rid of it, but it's a pretty expensive swap. If you go to Leica, it's like $600–700 to have done. know that I've ever needed it for that much. It's always just been kind of an afterthought to me, something that I find annoying, but I can always just work around. There have been so many like soft shutter releases. I mean, I know that some people get really particular about the shutter releases that they buy and put onto these things. For me, it's always been whatever can I find for the cheapest, because inevitably I end up losing them. This one I've had for maybe 6 months, and I'm honestly shocked that it's lasted that long. The lenses that I've had for this camera haven't been super varied though. Like I said, I had that Jupiter 12. I had, actually I've had 2 Voigtlanders, 35 2.5 and a 35 1.4. Those are both gone. I've had 2 versions of the 35mm Summicron, a V2, which I had originally, and then a V3. And the only reason I got the V3 is because I got it for steel. And so I just sold the V2. The V3, it's good, it's fine. My version's made in Canada. That's been the lens that's been on here the most. I had a 50mm Summicron, gone. I had a 90mm LMR-C, which was a great lens. I'm really a fan of the 90mm focal length on Leicas, but sold it. Yeah, I just, you buy random lenses. I had the 7 Artisans 50mm 1.1. That was one of those lenses where it's like, yeah, it's neat, but what do I actually do with it? That thing was huge. I had another 50mm Summicron. So this is just me rambling, and basically saying, like, there have been so many little things that have come and gone for this. I've had 3 different versions of camera grips on here. Every time I buy one, I think, oh, this is the one. This is really gonna feel nice, and then it goes away, and I go back to like, this version of the camera is the camera that I want to use so often. I had that awesome accessory that holds another lens vertically down below, but that went away too as I just kind of switched back to only having one lens. And as soon as I actually get around to having my 35 Summicron fixed, I'll get rid of this because I don't need it. The 1-2 combo of that lens with this camera is just, it's everything I need. And a lot of the reason why I bought the Fuji and adopted that for like a digital camera, the camera that I use to record these videos now, is because I appreciate how similar they are in terms of form and function and usability. I've had the X100, and that camera combined with the M6, they just sync up. And they really complement each other well. You of course can always go with the digital version, but I don't know that it's needed. The price point that they're at, it's not worth it to me. And so when it comes to like asking the question of, would you buy this camera again, even at current prices? Knowing what I know now, I think I would. I think of all the cameras that sit in that $2,000 price point now, which is crazy to say, and that list is growing. The 67-2 has gone up in price that I had. The Contaxes, the G1 and G2 especially, the X-Pans, like all of those cameras just keep going up in price. But of all of them, the Leica M6 is the one that I would go to and stick with the longest. So I think with that, it's a good place to end this video. I hope you enjoyed watching. I'll probably do this with some of my other cameras that I've had for a really long time, because that's really all I'm left with now. These kind of retrospectives on owning a camera for years and years and years. So if you have a camera that you've that's been with you for more than a handful of years, leave a comment below, let me know what it is. Please be sure to subscribe, I really appreciate it. Thank you for watching these videos. It means a lot to actually put the effort into making them again and have people come back and kind of pay attention to the things that I'm saying. It's really appreciated. So until next time, until maybe tomorrow, day 11 of quarantine, I'll see you around.